Thank you for coming out tonight for the latest TVLine Spotlight conversation. It's our series of cozy Q&As with the people who make your favorite TV shows. Tonight we are very, very excited to have with us Chris Meloni. So without further ado, I would like to introduce one of my favorite people, TVLine Editor-in-Chief Kim Roots.
Hey guys. This is so cool. Thank you for being here. Chris Meloni is an actor and executive producer best known for playing Detective Elliot Stabler on Law & Order SVU and Organized Crime. His TV work is wide-ranging. We got Oz, Happy, The Handmaid's Tale, Pose, Veep, Harley Quinn, True Blood. The list goes on and on and on. And a bunch of films, everything from Man of Steel to Runaway Bride, which honestly... Okay, yeah. I'm among kindred spirits here. I feel that. We are honored to have him here tonight ahead of Law & Order Organized Crime's Season 5 premiere. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chris Meloni. We've seen Stabler go through some stuff since he's been back in New York. A little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
He's struggled a bit. So talk to me about coming into Season 5, where he's at on a scale of like good to not good. What's kind of the takeaway theme for this season for him?
It starts out with Sergeant Bell saying, "You're going undercover."
You can have a woo for Bell. That's
And
cool.
woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Danielle Monet Truitt. Mm-hmm. Stabler goes, "No, why are we doing this? I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready." Whereas before, he consciously, unconsciously wanted to go undercover. He needed to go away. He needed to distance himself, not only from, what happened to his wife, but I think, other things that were pressurizing him. What he goes through are things that we realize we've never been shown, we never knew about, the SVU traumas.
It is so upsetting how attractive a man in trauma is. We're all like, oh, tell me more. So tell me more. Go ahead.
I thought there was like an ooh, ah thing, like, when they say applause, ooh, ah.
All right, so SVU traumas. Go ahead.
SVU trauma. All of the things that job entails. Because, when I first started SVU and we hung out with the real deals, real SVU detectives, and the attrition rate is about 2 years in that profession because of what they witness. And, right now, that stuck with me. Like these tough guys, these tough women, a lot of women in that, and they're rock stars. And, so that kind of hit me as, that's an interesting theme that, if you don't recognize the toll that the job's taken on you, that's what, we toyed with and I toyed with, because it kind of comes to fruition in the second episode, which I wrote.
Which he wrote. We're getting to that one later in depth, so just get ready for that.
Spoiler.
Just get ready. Spoiler. No, I mean, it's interesting to me that after years of Stabler having people tell him that he needs to kind of come to terms with this, he's actually coming to terms with this, it sounds like, a little bit.
Yeah, actually someone said, why doesn't he go to therapy? And, that's been my big thing. I think it'd be a very interesting platform. He's the kind of guy who is not going to tell a lot of people a lot of things. I think he compartmentalizes very well, and he uses humor or silence or stoicism just to navigate through the difficulties, because people in the military, people in law enforcement, and humor, or I'll take that back, emotions aren't necessarily your go-to tool in your little kit, your bag of tricks. That doesn't help you, I don't think, get through your day or make your job, help you do your job the best way you can. So I think like therapy would be good insight. Maybe I should go to therapy.
How do you feel about your mom? No, I'm kidding. Okay, go ahead.
My mother was a saint.
You mentioned Danielle Monet-Truitt. You guys have an embarrassment of riches on the NYPD side in the cast. You have Ainsley as Jet. You have Rick Gonzalez as Reyes. I'm wondering, what are days like when you guys are all shooting in the squad room? Does it mirror at all kind of what we see on screen?
It's always fun. It's always cheerful. It's always trying to figure out how the scene works and operates. I tell you, sometimes though, because it's like, oh, hey, the gang's all here, it gets a little lackadaisical. It's like, okay, I feel like the conductor sometimes going, okay, hey guys, let's start right here, this line. I have to, kind of focus them into what the meaning of the scene and what are we trying to accomplish, and and sometimes we're halfway into a scene, we go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, and then we have to break it down and just kind of help fix. We have to fix things sometimes, so you have to be focused.
I'm so happy you answered that way, because I happened to speak to Danielle last week, and I said, please tell me something with which I can gently roast Chris, and she said, say this to him. What is the value?
Is there any value?
Tell them what you mean, and tell me what you mean by that.
Well, does anyone know? Do you know who Timothy Busfield is? Great actor.
Gen Xers out there, you know who he is.
I did a movie with him 1,000 years ago, and while we were doing the movie, he said to the director, "Hey, is there any value?" And I went, that is so great, because you can get in the rice bowl without them knowing that you're in the rice. It's a neutral place, as opposed to how else are you going to get in? Hey, do you think there's a better way? Or, hey, maybe we should try this. Or, no, it's like, is there any value? It's very neutral. And I just thought that was such a beautiful and elegant way. And now it's just a cliche. And, so as soon as I open my mouth, you have the whole crew going, is there any value? Because I'm sorry. Well, there.
I love it. I enjoy the jokes in the scripts about Stabler maybe not being as technologically savvy as Sloopmakers is. Are you ever like, okay, I don't know that we need another joke about Stabler being old and not able to do this?
No, because I always enjoy a good roast, and I think all of these scripts work better when there's good-natured chop busting.
Does it ever spill over into off-screen good-natured chop?
Absolutely. I go to work with a bullseye on my back, but as do the others. I mean, we fearlessly roast each other.
I love Bell and Stabler. I think it's such an interesting relationship. We haven't really seen him have. You can tell me if I'm wrong. We haven't really seen him have such a warm relationship with a superior kind of that quickly and that lasts that long. Talk to me about why you think it's a little bit different with her than it has been previously in his career.
When they brought me back, because it was a different environment, it was, defund the cops, and I got a lot of questions about, oh, you're the kind of cop that people are up in arms about, and that's a whole different topic and subject, but that was the environment in which my character came back into, and I thought it was very interesting because it's a man coming back into a world he doesn't understand, and I thought emblematic of that is here you have a younger, Black, lesbian, female. I was like, that's
kick-ass.
But it's lovely. And when she came in and she was so formidable and confident, it's like, this is a woman who owns her space. I go, that's perfect. That's what he needs, so that he has a worthy foil to lock horns with. And, he has the benefit of more years, so he has a little more knowledge under his belt, but, she's just as formidable with what she possesses. So, I actually, and I've been saying this, that she's been woefully underwritten. I agree with you. And so, and I just think that it would give a whole new color and angle to how the stories are told,
Danielle's so good. And
yes.
So good. Can we get a hand for her? I mean, like, come on, right? The Stabler family, last season when the Stabler family we got more and more. It's so good. You have Dean Norris back this year as a series regular, Ellen Burstyn. Talk to me a little bit about having Dean around more. I know you guys are buds and go way back and have talked about doing something like this forever. What do you think having him around brings out in your performance and vice versa?
Whatever it is, it's really real, which is we can't help ourselves. There's something about each of us that brings out this brother, most loving. It's not even competition. It's just like trying to constantly poke. It's like, when we're in the back of the car going, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I mean, it's always that. And he's such a smart guy, and he's such a generous person and actor that, anytime we're together in a scene, we just are so open. What do you think? What do you think? And just trying to find and what he has brought, and I think that why he's kind of come to the fore is we naturally ad-libbed so many scenes, so many moments that just worked and fit and they kept. And so, yeah, it's always just, I love that guy.
He's so good. He's so good. And then Ellen, I mean, I have to tell you, I love that we have this big, tough, gruff Stabler, and then literally he turns to his mom and he calls her mama. That is like the best thing for me ever, ever, ever. Yeah, oh, right, exactly. Please tell me an Ellen story, something that either like funny that happened on the set or that you learned from her while you were shooting, because she's such a legend.
Okay, do you know Ellen from The Exorcist? Yes. And at one point in The Exorcist, the devil kind of inhabits his mother, who's in the old folks' home, and he feels this guilt. The priest in The Exorcist feels this guilt over it, and his mother goes, "Damn why you do this to me? Damn me," meaning, why are you leaving me in this old folks' home? Take care of me. So he feels this guilt. And that was one of my favorite lines from the movie. So one time she and I were waiting for them to light up, fix a scene, and I just say to her, "Okay, my favorite beat is," and I do the impersonation. She just goes, "My own son does that to me all the time." And he's exactly my age. So I was like, it was meant to be, you and I. But I did confess to her that I lost my mother a couple of years back, and then OC started up shortly after she passed, and it took me a couple of years, but it hit me one day. I went, "Oh my God, she is like a mother to me," and.
She's great. I want her to be my mom too. It's all good. You ready for a question that's completely different?
Of course. Anything to get me off that ride.
All right. So Peacock.
I shouldn't have shared that.
You absolutely should have shared that.
Do we have tissues? Go ahead.
Peacock this season, I'm going to give you some rapid fire. Give us swearing. Yes.
Swearing.
What's Stabler's curse of choice?
He's not really a cursor. I don't think.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, grow up, potty mouth. Honestly, I think his go-to word would be mother. But I think we'll truncate it to a lot of. But there's so many people around me swearing. I think Stabler's like, come on, let's clean it up here. I'm Catholic, for sake. What the is the matter with you?
All right, moving on. Nudity.
Hello. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there? I don't know.
Sir, may I?
Tune in. I really can't remember.
You are the star and EP of the show.
Well,
Is there anything that you couldn't show on network TV that you can show now, or that you can think of that like you guys have gone into a little deeper?
Yeah, but we haven't crossed the line yet. I really felt that we were all kind of looking around going, what's acceptable? And not just like us on the ground, but I think back at HQ, because this is the first Wolf entertainment that's on streaming. So, it's a whole new platform. So I think they're just kind of figuring out, well, how far can we go? We'll figure it out. But yeah, there are some tough scenes, pretty. intense stuff.
Do you think it opened up the storytelling at all, or is it kind of just like a new toy you can play with?
It's a new toy, but if you do it correctly, then it opens up, right? If you use it, intelligently.
So as we mentioned before, you wrote episode 2, pause for applause. How did the process compare to how you thought it would be? Were there any parts that were tougher or easier?
The writer's room is tough. The writer's room is, you're cobbled together, you're there and okay, go. And what's happening now is really what happens. You're like, so the bad guy, it's a tough process.
Do you feel like they treated you like they would treat each other? Do you think there was any weirdness because you're the star?
No, I didn't feel that. I felt that, and I think it's by virtue of, what are you going to do? Here's the guy who, with all due humility, gives very good notes. I understand the writing process. And I've been doing this guy for 20 years. So I think they were like, well, he kind of knows the character and the structure of what it is we're trying to do. So, yeah, they welcomed me with open arms. They were very lovely.
Who was your sounding board when you were writing? Was there anyone that you ran lines with or anyone that you knocked around ideas with that wasn't in the writer's room?
No, I had pitched John Scheibin. Gave the idea about these long haul truckers, because this is a real thing. This is a real problem that long haul truckers. And there's a book about it. The FBI has actually started a task force because they believe that as many as independent long haul truckers, 7 or 8% are serial killers. It's crazy because it's a built-in beautiful setup, a beautiful structure because you go to these truck stops and if you're a woman of the night who's trying to make a buck and the guy goes, hey, and your family might, maybe you're a junkie, all these things, they're people on the fringes, they pick them up in Indiana and they say, hey, I got to haul it down to Kentucky. Well, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden you wind up on the side of the road as a Jane Doe in Kentucky. So that was intense. To me, I started thinking back about, the SVU and because there's a child involved in this story. And then, it was just the idea of something happens to Stabler and it's Benson who she's the one who almost like is psychically able to draw him out of his...
Let the record show that he said she psychically drew him out of his whatever is going on, right? This is okay.
Quote me.
We're going to get to her in a minute too. Don't worry. The idea of Elliot's father has been, that presence of him has been a thing since the beginning of the show, since SVU, but definitely since the beginning of Organized Crime, and is very much a part of your episode, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think he's doing with reconciling kind of what he knew of his father with what he's been learning about his dad and kind of having now a son who's going into the force with a kid on the way? Like, just talk to me about where his head's at with all of that cats in the cradle stuff. Why are you laughing at me?
Because really, I don't know, because it moves so quickly. All these things you bring up, I feel as though, you could have a whole season almost just dealing with everything that we've already set up, because they're all very poignant dynamics that I think everyone can relate to. They're right there. So a lot has been thrown at him in the last couple of seasons.
All right, so episode 2 also features the return of Captain Olivia Benson, Mariska Hargitay. Look, I'm a fan who loves seeing you guys together all the time, but I know it's a huge logistical undertaking whenever you guys are on each other's shows. But can you give us a sense of what is the background on that? What are the logistics of okay, someone has an idea that you're both going to be in a scene, and...
Well, this is how this went down. So they said, hey, they want Mariska on your show for an episode. Great. So I go, I want to write it, and because I feel as though I'll do a great job. Okay, great, you got it. So we break the story, figure it out, and where I have her throughout the whole script, they break it down and they go, we'll need her for 5 days. SVU comes back to us and says, you got 3. So I go back to the drawing board going, she's out of that.
Wait, hold on. What was she out of? What is it? What can you give us a sense of something you had to cut?
Towards the end.
They haven't seen it yet, remember? So
towards the end of that episode, it will be me and Ainsley? Yeah, me and Ainsley. And it was going to be me and Benson on the hunt.
Okay.
So, I know. I know. So, yeah.
You just shoot and that's it? Like we're good to go and then it's when it comes up again? Or is there any kind of like overarching like, and we want her again in episode 8 or anything like that?
It's just, girlfriend has a day job, so.
Do you think Stabler's ever had a friendship like Benson's before? Because he and Kathy got together very young.
No.
We don't see a lot of other friends.
No.
I'm not talking about what you guys are all thinking, but I'm just saying in general, what I'm also thinking. I'm just saying in general, it's a very deep relationship for him that it feels like he doesn't have with a lot of other people.
Yeah, it's, well, I'm trying to put it really into perspective or in context that, his relationship with his wife was, difficult and fraught. And, I don't know if anyone here has been married for a long time and having children. And, you're working it and it's hard and you're going to, just stuff comes up, right? But when you have a partner and you get them in a place that you come alive and you're connected and you are thought of as you're competent and so are they and you're of one mind almost. I mean, that's intoxicating, and especially in this kind of work, there's this trust and this love and all of these very things. And then all of a sudden you have to go, oh, how far does that extend between us? Because I have my wife and my commitments and this, but do you want the microphone? Do this better than I can.
That was kind of hot. I'm not going to lie. Along those lines, no spoilers, but there's a line in episode 2 that I know you wrote to get everyone in this room and out there riled up that Stabler says to Benson. I'm not going to say what it is. First, number one, I can't. NBC's here. They're going to shoot me. Number one, account for yourself.
Spoiler alert. You'll know it tomorrow night and you'll go like this. That that's it. That's it.
So number one,
rewind it.
I was going to say, please account for yourself. I know you guys play the will they, won't they, and all the stuff you guys have said, but that line is like, we see you. I mean, obviously that's put in to pique our interests, right? Pique interests of people who would like to see those characters.
Yeah, but I slipped it in there during a scene that was pretty intense, which is, I need your help. Yeah. So you're either going to help me or you're not.
He almost said it, but he didn't. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then they are closer now than they've ever been. We get scenes like the compass necklace and the Christmas.
What is that response?
Dude, this is your show. I'm just along for the ride. I don't know. But the scene in the kitchen, but then we go long stretches with nothing, right? Mm-hmm.
I feel unsafe right now.
I think it'll depend on how you answer the question. But I guess I'm wondering, there's a trajectory here, whether you're traveling it quickly or slowly. And I'm wondering, do you ever worry about, are we messing with what people want? Are we kind of, playing with that, but there's no plan to give that?
Okay. Here's the real deal. Where they're going, I have no idea. Understand this. I've had 8 showrunners in about 4 seasons. Each new person comes in, they got their own ideas, they got their own views. And on top of that, you also have the Wolf folks, and they're not even quite clear. And then you have SVU folk. So, we've had confabs about where we're going, what are we doing. And, it's like every meeting. Doesn't go anywhere. You don't get anything. So, on the day, you get what you get. And you do the best you can to make sense of it. And you push back or you advocate for something. And And I'll go into the kitchen thing. That was,
Guys, shh.
we were attempting something. I don't think it worked, but I'm not going to tell you why it didn't work because, you'll have your opinion. I know what transpired. And you're like, well, okay, I don't go, that's what's going to go on TV. That's what we're going to air. We don't have that power, right? We do the best we can to be honest with the scenes we're given. So, it's like, you need to, I don't have that power. We're doing the best we can to make it honest, not make it bait. If we do bait, at least for me, I always do it with a wink. I think it's good natured, but maybe you guys are over that. So and that's valid. But you give us too much credit for the power that we might have. Will they? Won't they? And all that stuff.
No, I mean, I've seen how people respond to you on social. The people do think that you are like, and it's going to happen now, and it's going to happen now. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
I appreciate that really candid answer. Thank you.
Because, you get somebody, a showrunner writes you something, you're like, that's a beautiful scene. But then, like you, are like, where are we going? What are we doing? And they haven't, they're not going there. So it's like, well, okay.
I'm going to ask a couple questions that fans sent in on social media. This is from Michaela Z on Twitter. Is Michaela Z in the room? No? Okay. But she has fans in the room. Okay. How much involvement do you have in Elliot's wardrobe styling, and what are some items of clothing you feel that are quintessential to him as a character?
How much influence do I have? I had more at the beginning.
When you were all like vested up?
Yeah. Until one of the wolf people said, you look like a bartender at a fancy hotel bar. Which I disagree with. But I saw what he meant.
I also disagree, but does that mean then, not that the Henleys are bad, but like he lives in Henleys now, right? Like that's pretty much it?
There's a lot of Henley work. Yeah. Yeah, they just threw that on me. But yeah, the whole, he was a little sharper when he came back because I thought, I want a sense of Italy having influenced him. And it had changed him a little bit. I think this is a guy who hadn't been out of Queens ever in his life. And then all of a sudden he was, stationed in Italy. And I thought, well, let's give the man that he's changed a little bit in that regard.
This is from L circa 96 on Twitter. Do you see Stabler ever getting promoted to sergeant, lieutenant, captain?
Yeah, I could see that. I'd like that.
What do you think has kept him from not pursuing that?
Oh, I think they like the idea, and this was kind of a major theme that he is the man, and this is kind of why we're shooting in Brooklyn. Also, it's cheaper, but yeah, the idea that he comes back where he was in the center of it, right? But now he's the man on the outside looking in. That he's on the outside. That's it. So I think they like that underdog. So you have that always hanging. Why you had such potential? What happens? Like I think I'm happy doing what I do.
When we spoke in March 2021, right before the show got started, you said, and I'm going to quote you here, "It's such a unique experience I'm living, which is a sense of welcoming and love and just welcome back and we've missed you. It feels very sweet." And I'm just going, man, not too many people get this. It's not lost on me. 4 years down the road. 4 years down the road, is it the same feel? Has the feeling about the show and about the fandom and has anything changed? Has it gotten deeper? What's your take on that?
I literally was just talking to, I have some of my reps here.
Your team.
My team. Yeah, my entourage. I literally just told the story. I said, I'm in a place that I'm just walking around, whether it's in my house or outside. I'm just minding my own business. And I just stop and I go, can you imagine that your career is this? That you're living this? I mean, it still blows my mind. And I love that. And I just sit with that feeling. I'm like, man, I really appreciate that I still have that. I get that I'm still charged and surprised by it. So, you know, and I think that helps me. I don't even know what keep it fresh means, but the keep it fresh. But being in the game, I still love it, and I'm
I love this.
just yeah.
I love this.
I'm very shocked.
All right, we're coming to you guys.
Oh, hello. My name is Allison. I pre-wrote this because I was like, oh my God, what if we could ask questions? Okay. Is there an overlooked on-screen moment in Elliot's history that haunts Elliot in a way that people wouldn't expect? So I feel like there's a lot of iconic moments that get like replayed a lot, but is there a moment that you really tap into as Elliot that really drives like your choices and your intentions that people might have forgot about?
That's a really hard question, but I'm just going to answer it of what popped into my head. I know. This is because I don't think of these things, but when I do, then I'm like, oh my God. Okay, let me get through this. It was when and it was with McNamara, the actor McNamara. But I go to the door, and I know the father is abusing this little girl. And she answers the door. And I basically say, I want you to hold my badge. And I, go get Pop. And that was a guy who was on Oz, by the way. And I just remember I almost beat him to death with my gun. But
The character almost beat him to death.
yeah, but I was just so I was like that. So anyway, that scene is kind of the, I don't know, a kernel, a nugget of to me of what Stabler is. That's it.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question's more for you rather than Elliot based. At what moment and in what way did SVU and the subject matter that is so critical change how you as a man are showing up as a safe man in our world? Because we see you advocate for that and we see you continue to show up in that manner.
Oh, that was almost immediate because, the things that were coming at you, and I still remember this because, and you know who the most brutal writers were women, and that wasn't lost on me. Highly talented, but they felt it. They however subtly were subjected to it, and a lot of them were. One was really tough, and she took no. But I just, it struck me as females, they really understood the fear and the danger and the darkness and all of that. So it was pretty immediate because, the scripts just keep coming. So, it's just like, once you're done with one, you're like, oh my God. And yet you go, this happens, this is happening. And,
I have one question. Are we ever going to see Wheatley again? Told you it was a good one.
I think he drove off a bridge.
Well, I think he drove off a bridge also, but that doesn't mean he drove off a bridge.
So true. And if he were to make a comeback, oh my God.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah. I enjoyed working with Dylan very much.
That's good.
I know when Elliot first came back, his character briefly talked with Finn about Olivia's past dating history. But they didn't really get into it. How do you think Elliot would react if he found out about Tucker?
Look, I personally think that he's already heard rumors. That's my opinion. They just haven't written the scene where she and I have this heart-to-heart of, what the were you thinking? I love you, but...
Our question is there a scene in your career, your Law & Order career, that was left on the cutting room floor that you still think about to this day?
I don't think so. I don't think that has happened. How they've cut it has really irked me many, many times. Yeah. Yeah.
I see the wheels churn.
I'll give you. I don't think anyone's ever heard this one.
Lean in.
When she saves my wife and my baby, right? And Kathy delivers the child. And in that hug moment where I hug her, and they pushed in on Mariska, and I'm like, whoa. Look, I get, and I thought she played it beautifully, but I'm like, you got to cut back to me because I'm part of that story too. You have to check in with him. I mean, and they did, but the original was not, and I'm like, I was furious. I went, you can't. That's not the whole. And I know, and I saw the original, and it told a story, and it was a picture, and I'm like, that's beautiful. But I think it just made that moment fuller of what are both of them struggling with. You saw what Benson, she was just like, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted. At least that's how I interpreted it. This could be me kind of thing, and me going, what's in Stabler's head? That was it.
So all these years, you had great guest stars. Were any of them were you starstruck by anyone in particular?
Robin Williams. Oh. And we've been, I don't know if we've been lucky. Yeah, we've been lucky. I mean, they're Robin Williams, Angela Lansbury, Christina Lottie, Alfred Molina, Carol Burnett, Judd Hirsch, Martin Short, Jerry Lewis. I mean, they were all wonders in all different ways, and I could enumerate each one. Angela Lansbury, we never had a quote unquote scene. She and I, she was always in a group, but one time I said something to her, character wise, and she looked at me like that, and it's like a tractor beam. I was caught in her tractor beam, and that's just an actor thing. So you're in the scene, but you're sitting there going, "Wow, I've never felt that before." When the sparks fly and they can come in, any kind of permutation. But yeah, all of them. But Robin Williams, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Hi, Chris.
Make a good one.
My name is Jacqueline from Brooklyn.
Oh, I know you.
I know. Okay. What do you hope for the future of Elliot Stabler? In the future, besides Benson and his family, what do you hope to accomplish as a cop? What does he have? Do you have any ideas for the future for him beyond going undercover?
I think a promotion is due, but I would like for him to come to some deeper, greater understanding of self, some reconciling with some of his issues. I think that's about the extent of it.
All right, can we please have a large round of applause for Chris Meloni?